All right. You're listening to the Dead Man's Tone podcast, a show broadcast live from a trailer park deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. I'm your host, Mr. Deadman. With me is SK Barrett, a life coach that can unfuck your life if you'll let him. Our guest tonight is Leo X. Robertson. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Good?
I
That's
mean,
quite true.
Hey,
good as you can be on a Saturday night on a podcast.
Saturday night on
Yeah.
a podcast? But isn't this life, SK? It's not like you have a date lined up, right?
That's my point.
You had a date, but you were like, this is so much better.
Right, yeah. Kiki and Bambi were going to come over, but I said, no, the podcast has priority.
See, maybe get it to the next level. Be like, they're there with you while on the show. Or maybe you could take care of their needs and then be on the show. I don't know.
Or on the show.
Oh, yeah. That would make a better show. Let's just make that live. Just have a live video.
Do we have enough petty cash to cover that?
Do
it's
you
not
have
very
enough petty cash? You can start streaming on Pornhub with that shit, man. Oh, shit. Good stuff. So, one announcement. Monster Party, Dead Man's Tome Monster Party is kind of sort of out. Early release if you're a patron. Patreon.com/deadmanstome. Go there. All right. Become a patron and you get early access to Monster Party. That's pretty much it. Any other announcements? No? All right. We're good.
October's almost over.
Yeah, that means October Blitz is almost over, which, honestly, thank God. Because
next Thursday on Halloween, Real Monsters is going to do a special show on the Satanic Panic that comes up every few decades, frankly. But and we're going to talk about it when it relates to how police and politicians get freaked out and they think that there's satanic cults doing all these death rituals and sacrifices and shit.
What, they're not? SK.
As far as you know, they're not.
I read an article the other day that these preteen girls were trying to plot. Apparently, years ago, they were trying to plot to bleed their classmates for Satan. Okay? I read that.
Yeah.
That was true. That happened.
That was true.
Sounds like fun. Better than maths.
They had a map of the school. They brought a pizza cutter because
who the fuck needs a map of a school? Jesus Christ.
Well, we're talking about pre-teen girls. They get confused. Okay.
It's such a good point. They've got this whole plan, and they're just like, we're so excited about our plan that we forgot the layout of our own school. That's how satanic we are right now.
How do you get from class to class? Jesus.
I'm so evil.
GPS?
I have very layout.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. Why does Satan always choose the dumb kids? Like, why does Satan always choose the dumb? That's what I don't understand.
Well, so did the Thin Man.
Yeah. It's just, you gotta choose smart, okay? Be smarter.
Maybe the smarter kids ask too many questions and make demands.
Probably.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
But-
maybe they.
I was gonna ask.
Who likes that? That's no fun at all.
Oh, no, not at all. The smart ones would be questioning everything.
Yeah.
Well, asking questions, but also saying, well, if I'm going to do this for you, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah, see, Satan doesn't do that. He's like, he could. You think about it, he could make some sleazy deal. Like, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. What do you want?
Right. But the smarter kids would be going, yeah, but you always lie, so you got to do your part first.
Hey, that's just bad PR. You don't know unless you try, right? Hey, you want that good grade, you want that girlfriend, you want this, you want that. Hey, give it a try, man. Roll the die, because I know your parents are poor. They can't afford shit. Come on. Just go to school and bleed a few kids for me. Oh, shit, I got to be careful the way I just said that. Don't do that. That's not coming from me. Okay. Jesus Christ.
That was a hypothetical conversation between Satan and a high school preteen.
Yeah. Out of context, that might actually be a call to violence. So let's just say that was all hypothetical there. Okay.
Of course, it was a imagined fictional conversation.
Right.
Between Satan, not a real person, by the way.
We'll find out soon.
And a 12-year-old.
Yes. But I like that they brought a pizza cutter. I know we're still on the story, but I really do like. I do like they brought a pizza cutter.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, Satan wants a slice of pizza there.
By the way, between 13-year-olds and Satan, which one's an actual monster?
You get a bunch of 13-year-olds together, especially if you combine mental illness. Oh shit, 13-year-olds.
You don't even have to go that far.
You don't. I've seen Mean Girls.
Yeah, I guess the devil's an asshole all the time, but then 13-year-olds are just dicks for like a year or so. So I don't know. You wait a while.
Yeah, they're dicks for a year, and then they're 14-year-old dicks.
Right.
But then 15. Oh, but then 16. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't get better. 16 has the expectations of getting a car.
20 is when it starts to wear off.
Yeah, I mean 16 is not good. It never gets better.
I raised a pair of those monsters. They turned out fabulous, by the way. But those years are not, those are not the glory years.
Oh, by the way, we got an Infrafan in the chat there. Hey, how's it going? So, Leo X. Robertson, just explain for everyone who don't know who you are. Who are you and what do you do? And we'll start from there.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm a writer. I write, I guess, dark fiction, horror sometimes, bizarro stuff. That would be of most interest to the Dead Man's Tome people. I'm Scottish. I live in Norway, and I don't know. Big fan of Dead Man's Tome.
Thank you, and I'm a fan of your work as well. I know you were in Monsters Exist. It's been a while since I read that anthology, so my memory's kind of hazy on all the stories in there, honestly. But I do recall. Wait, yours was the one with the horse monster thing, right? It was like a seductive woman that leads men into water because they were kelpies. Because kelpies are like they're a Scottish creature. Okay, yeah, that was a good story. I like that.
Cheers.
Okay. And you also
like Norway.
Oh, sorry, SK.
How do I like Norway? It's pretty good. Of all the places I've lived. It's
pretty fucking cold.
Right?
It's I live in Stavanger, which is like close. It's kind of close to Scotland in latitude, longitude. One of those. The weather's pretty similar, so I don't know what I'm used to. It's
I could not stand that. I mean that cold temperature. Screw that. I know I complain about the Texas heat, but I can't stand that frigid weather either. It's like I need something in between, man. You need that nice.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer the heat if I had a choice. Also, it started to get dark here at like 6 in the afternoon, in the evening. So
I see.
And it's only going to get darker earlier. So.
Okay. Now you also have a podcast, right? Losing the Plot.
I sure do.
Now, is that podcast still ongoing?
It's still ongoing, yeah. It's now associated with the Aphotic Realm podcast network. So they assemble the episodes once I'm done with them. They've given me full creative control. They just want to promote it, and they host it, and that's great because I think that it's not that I'm bad at promotion. I just don't like doing it. So.
Okay. That's kind of a good deal. Like, do they cover the hosting costs as well? I mean, you don't have to go into all details, but I mean.
Yeah, no, they do.
That's good.
They do that. So I'm still interviewing like a new person roughly every week or so, because I like to read a work of theirs first and then just discuss it. It's a bit like an individual book group that changes every week. and
Oh, cool.
you know, have a chat with the author. It's great, and I'm always kind of interested in the person behind the book, because I think that, you know, if an author has done a good job, then everything you need to know about the book is in the book, or if it isn't, they still wouldn't like it if you suggested it wasn't. So a safe
right.
topic is just the author themselves. Yeah.
And that's where a lot of good conversations come from, especially on this show, doing it live all the time with various authors. I find that the subject matter related to their story is oftentimes what we spend most time talking about, you know, because that's something that's interesting. But it depends. It's always a gamble because it's live on this show. Like, you never really know what's going to come up when it does, but kind of gauge it. You know, yeah, it's cool.
So how's it been going this month?
Man, this month has been interesting. So a show every day. You know, when I thought about it, it seemed like it would be pretty easy. It really isn't that bad. You know, it
really hasn't, thankfully. Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and there's been
some really cool guests.
Oh, really nice guests. You know, of course, we have. Well, you had Jeremy Spencer on, Steve Deshavi. Deshavi on. Man, I can't remember all the names right now because it feels like a blur, but definitely a lot. A lot of good people.
Is this like, could you keep this pace up like throughout the year, or it has to be just October?
Oh no! Like after this, it's probably going to go back to Friday. Now, I will still stream because I'm addicted to it. Like on Monday and Wednesday, probably. But whether or not I'll do like Dead Man's Tome on those days, maybe like a Dead Man's Tome Light, where I mean I don't know if SK and Tammy's schedule what it would be because they're generous with their time with this month, but I don't know how it's going to be, you know, later on. But I think sticking with a Friday schedule would be good, and then maybe just, you know, just streaming live, just me, just talking about whatever on maybe like Wednesday or something. You know, we'll play around with it, see what happens. But but the cool thing about doing this, I found that talking with like the episodes where it's just me, SK, and Tammy, and we're just talking about a certain subject, that was fun. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Like first off, the hilarious, like, did you listen to The Summon or watch The Summon a Ghost?
I didn't catch that one.
Oh, man.
I have been listening to some of them, but no.
Okay, Summon a Ghost, Summon a Succubus. Those things are pretty fun. They were, you know, to set that up, it took a bit, but it was cool. I liked it. It came out pretty well.
Cool. I listened to one that I think it was you three did something on like how to stay positive, how to remain optimistic.
Yeah, that was we did that together. SK, Tammy, and I. I don't think we had a guest. The guest actually had to reschedule due to a family issue, and it was like there was a lot of people around me that had family issues come up and seemed to be going through hard times, and I was like telling SK and Tammy that maybe we should talk about that, kind of in a way.
Yeah, Tammy's a real positive person.
She tries to be. I mean, she really does maintain her positive energy, which is good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just I get kind of cynical sometimes or negative, so definitely need a positive vibe. I could be a downer.
Yeah, no, I really like that one. It was a good topic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So what about with you? Any what's new? Any new stories out?
Oh, yeah, I have a story in the upcoming Weird Punk Books Cronenberg anthology.
Okay.
It's about like a group of people who have like serious injuries, and so they've decided that they're not really seen as attractive by mainstream society, so they all meet up and have orgies together. Of course, that's what it's about, you know.
I like that. Sounds like a sex club for the injured.
Wouldn't?
It is. It's a sex club for injured people.
That's great. That's fabulous right there. How do
I
you
think
join? Do you
well,
have to have
I-
a serious
yeah.
injury? I'm sorry.
Tell me.
Oh, I was gonna ask how you join. Like if you have to have
Do you
a
have a
serious
serious-
injury.
Oh, well, it can be like any kind of anything that like most people would consider a disfigurement, any kind of qualifier that would make you feel like you're not seen as sexy by the average person. Though, you know, whether or not you, I mean, the question of the story is whether or not that's like a perception, or whether or not it's a good thing to find a people who share that, or to try and, you know, integrate yourself into mainstream society. Are you supposed to do that? Are you supposed to accept that you're not going to be part of it? And you know, but then also there's kind of an incentive for some of the people in the club to convince other people that they are, I don't know, not seen as sexy, to try and gain new members as well. There's a strange thing that happens when you start to branch off from the rest of a group.
It doesn't sound too strange. I'm thinking right now, what if you're born with a face that you would say is horribly scarred? You know? Like a face that no one, but maybe not even your own mom would love. A face that ugly. Would that count?
Does such a face exist? That mother wouldn't love it.
My face. My face. My face.
Yeah, jeez. I don't know how your wife lets you take your mask off. Frankly.
I don't know either, man. It's horrible. I scare everyone away. It's horrible, man. So,
by the way, we're taking donations, sympathy donations for Jesse's wife, just for putting up with him. Because somebody needed to do.
Yeah.
So okay.
So
go ahead.
did you investigate other kinds of sex clubs to write this book?
I could have used that as an excuse, right? No, I'm just just doing research.
research. God damn it!
No, I just made it up. I have a really weird way of getting ideas, which is like I really like weird punk books, and I wanted to write something for their Cronenberg anthology. I didn't know. I'd only seen like a handful of Cronenberg films, but what I did was I just read the submission call, and then I said to myself, I would like a story idea for this, please. And then I just went about my business. And I highly recommend this to anyone looking for a story idea. Just ask yourself for it and then just wait. And you come up with it. So about a month later, I was just reading a book and my brain just went, how about an orgy club for people who think they're disfigured? And I was like, all right, great, I'll write that.
Wait. What's this process? You just ask yourself for an idea and it just pops out?
Yeah, I said, can I please have, I just asked myself, can I please have an idea for the submission call? Because I like these guys. And my brain was like, okay. And then I just waited.
There you go.
It came to me like,
Cure for writer's block. That's all it is, man. That's all it is.
You have to put in a quarter or anything?
Yeah.
You know, just a token, some money. What do you have to give your brain to cough up the ideas like on demand?
$3.50.
Oh yeah, good point. Just I don't know, just be kind to yourself. Go for a wee walk.
Shit.
Have a sandwich.
Didn't know it was going to be that hard.
That's how you keep ideas. You didn't know it was going to be that. Here.
Yeah, what if you're lazy? What if you don't want to walk, man? Come on, I have to put up effort. I have to do. Come on.
Be kind.
And naps work.
Jesus.
Naps work great, I think. Just take a nap.
Oh.
A nap. I could do that.
Yeah.
Now you're in my wheelhouse.
By the way, since later on tonight, we'll be talking about art house horror films. I'm drinking wine tonight. Sophisticated, artful, but it's in a mug.
In a mug?
Because that's how I do class, SK. That's how I do class.
When people are sophisticated and artful, they normally say it out loud, you know? Sophisticated, artful. Oh, okay, that's a sophisticated, artful person.
Yes, they you can always trust somebody who announces their positive qualities.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good sign. Good sign right there. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Wine in a mug is a pretty good summary of the Dead Man's Tomb aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm
I would have
surprised.
thought tequila in a mug, but Wine, okay.
I'm being art house tonight.
Red,
Art house. Okay.
red or white?
I was gonna do craft beer, maybe like a fancy liquor, but wine just seemed like art house to me. Okay. From a box. Oh, this is. Oh, Infrafan in the chat asked if this was in the box wine. This is not box wine, but it was the cheapest bottle I could find. So.
You didn't get anything in a can?
No, this is actually behind the can. Someone put it there.
Jesse, you seem like the kind of guy who would show up to an art gallery just to get drunk on all the free wine and like hide it all night.
This guy knows me. Leo knows me. I would. Well, that was the best part about. I went to a modern art gallery once because my sister-in-law had a piece there. Which modern art, honestly, my opinion is like, okay. I mean, if you say so, that's just a chair. I mean, I can't sit in it. Why? Does it not work?
Did you see somebody actually punked a gallery? This is a real thing. They made up a little, display card and then put a pair of eyeglasses on the floor. And people started gathering around and taking photographs of this installation. It was just somebody's fucking glasses.
Right? Which we'll get into that later on. I guess high art versus low art, I guess. Some forecasting for the show. So tell us a little bit more about this work. I mean, is there anything more you can tell about the story? About the sex club?
About the story. Oh, let me think. Well, yeah, it's really about like when other people get in your head, because the idea is that a guy goes to this club and he has like this birth defect that he was born with that actually doesn't bother him at all. But then when he goes, this is just like the intro to the story. But then when he goes to this club, he has to show them the birth defect in order to gain entry, and they say, "Oh, we can see exactly why you want to be a member of our club, because guaranteed if people if they don't if they haven't said anything to you about that, it's only because they don't want to hurt you to your face, but people definitely don't like you for that."
And he hadn't been bothered before.
Exactly.
Oh.
And they get in his head about it. I mean, it's such a. I'm really glad.
What
they
a great
accepted
twist.
The story. Well, cheers, but I'm really glad they accepted the story because it's such a contentious thing to write about. It's not about the way people look. It's about the way people think about themselves and how they can be convinced by other people that that they need them. I mean, I think that kind of thing. Oh, well, this is a dangerous comparison, but I mean, I think that kind of thing happens in the writing world as well. It's like if you get published by one person and you're quite new, you're like, these are obviously the only people who are ever going to publish me because nobody ever has before. And I'm so lucky that I have these people that I'm just going to follow them to the end of the earth, even if they're not a good fit, right?
Branch
you don't
out,
realize
man. Branch out.
Yeah. You don't realize you have a little power there as well as a writer.
From everything that I've been able to read and think about, we are pretty much just the accumulation of stories that we tell about ourselves. And the things that we think, that we hold dear as memories are usually, wrong. Our memories are so completely fucked up and mistaken that they're completely unreliable, yet we cling to those desperately. And it really is all about the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves that defines who we are.
Jesse, this is a bit deep for your podcast. I think you should.
No, this is good. No, we do. Hey.
I get to do it once a podcast.
Hey, no, every now and then we go down this rabbit hole. Every now and then we do. Talk about deep memories.
It was a beautiful point and very well made. And I think one of the reasons I interview writers every week is I find that just they're fascinating people to talk to, generally speaking. And I had Kelly Robson is this speculative fiction author from Canada, and she had this really interesting point, because she'd written about how, you know, we're all storytellers, we all tell ourselves stories, as you say. And I'd asked her, do you think that's a good or a bad thing? And she said it's value neutral. It's neither good nor bad, because there are certain situations in which you write a narrative that involves you, even though like it's not a story that you were in. Like if somebody bumps into you in the street, was her example, then you'd be like, oh, that person's an asshole, that person doesn't like me, I have bad luck or something, when maybe you were just standing in the wrong place and there's no story there, right? So I think that I think a big issue is people writing themselves into stories that they're not actually a part of them, you know? And a lot of things that happen to you, you're not really supposed to take them personally, you were just there. Maybe that's the story.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens to us on a day-to-day basis that it's like, don't take that personally. And if you do, it just gets into your head, and it's no good. Like half the time, okay, so like if I'm stressed out or worried about something or something like mess with me, it's because I allowed something to get into my head. Maybe some bullshit because of a boss, maybe some bullshit because this, that, and the other. But it's like I'm letting their perception of me fuck with me, you know?
Right.
Like I know that's not the truth, but when you let it win, when you let it kind of sit there and fester and kind of, you know, take a mind space rent free and all that, it could lead to problems like even like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where it's like, okay, so this person said this about me, I don't, even though it's not true, but since I'm thinking about it, I end up doing it. You know, I know I'm speaking kind of vague here, but I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like,
no fucking clue, man. God, you just go off and
no, but it makes sense though. Really?
I gotta give you shit about it.
Oh,
before I agree.
Okay.
No, I totally get that, and I think it's actually one of the reasons I like living in Scandinavia, is you get very little feedback here, and I really it's not like, I don't care what most people think of me, but in order not to care, I have to not hear what they think about me, you know, because I'm actually a very sensitive person. As long as I don't read it, then it won't affect my life. But so yeah, all of that nonsense, all of that like petty stuff that even adults do. I mean, you think it's you call it high school behavior, but some people just never stop doing it.
Never.
Yeah.
Listen, we are as individuals, pretty much our entire lives are run by our 7-year-old selves.
Yeah. Especially when you're drunk.
You know, all of the we form all of these complex beliefs and preferences and concepts as children, and we almost never give those up. Hell, we go into careers as fucking kids, teenagers, and as get to be middle-aged, and we're still running down these career paths that we picked out when we were idiot children.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're even that lucky. You know, sometimes it's not even much of a career path. You're just stuck in a job that you got when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you see that, man. You see that. I got this job when I was a teenager. When you're still working there, you're still working there. Jesus Christ.
Right.
That was supposed to be a high school job. All right.
I think like a lot of people's behavior seems to be motivated by like a need for safety.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think like that. I don't know. I mean, you do need a feeling of safety, but it's best if you design it by yourself. And I think if you also realize that ultimately it's just never, it can't be attained.
Right.
You know, then stop. Because, you know, there are certain, like, no matter who you are, there are certain petty games you can be invited to play. Like, if you're a very hardworking, like, I mean, me, I'm an engineer, for example. If you're an engineer, you can make a lot of money, and you can talk to your friends about how big your house is, and they can, I don't know, tease you about where you go on holiday and stuff. Like, who cares? Who honestly cares? You know, you can always be invited to play these petty little games where it's like, if you win this, you're winning life, and you can feel good about yourself. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. I think you do need those games, but it's best if you design them yourself.
Exactly. One of the things that I am writing about in my sequel to my book is about how we take on the objectives, the goals, the rules given to us by other people, whether we like them or not. And we don't pursue our goals that matter to ourselves, to us personally. And we end up being fucking miserable because we're pursuing things to make other people happy and don't do shit for ourselves.
That's right.
It's you have to do it. You have to do it. It becomes inspiring to other people. I mean, of course, you have to do things for yourself first, but you do notice that when people can tell when you're pursuing your own goals, and it's inspiring to them because it makes them want to do what they want to do. But first, before you get to that point of inspiring them, you get so much hostility because people are just like, who do you think you are following your goals? I don't follow my goals. You think you're better than me? And it's like no,
yeah.
yeah, I do actually. Do you know what I do? No.
Yeah. You definitely hear that. Like, let's say, especially as a kid, when you're a kid and you wanted to choose I don't know about you guys, but if you wanted to talk about choosing a career path as like something artsy or like music or whatever, it's like, oh, son, you're gonna want something that pays the bills. Like, you can't be in a band. You can't do something artsy, for a way
You think
of life.
somebody's gonna pay you to play video games? Well, as a matter of fact,
right? So look at these kids now, like, motherfucker. you guys got it. You guys are making money and you're playing Call of Duty still. Oh shit! I missed that. I missed that ride. But and it's like, but even after that, you still try to make it what you can with what you have. It's
yeah.
life.
You mentioned this. You mentioned this little video I made, and I started. Like I basically started a little club here for filmmaking where I'm going to get other people to join in and help me, and we're going to
cool.
this. I managed to attract the attention of this society that like makes these little social events for people here in Stavanger, and it seems like I've got like no filmmaking experience at all. The fact that I'm doing it here in Stavanger with real life people right in front of me makes everything go so much faster because that's how we work. We work with we need human connections and stuff to do around one another, So.
And for those listening right now, they haven't seen the video. Sorry, SK.
No, I'm just excited because I used to be heavily involved in our local filmmaking community here in Seattle, which is really strong. And it's, people are always, willing to help out on somebody else's project, and then you help out on theirs. And as long as you're really good at being reciprocal, it goes really well and everybody benefits.
Yeah, great.
That's good.
So
and that sort of community,
I love
helps
seeing
out.
that kind of thing. Yeah. And
for those who don't know what this is, that video, in fact, if anything, if I could pull that up right now, do you mind if I play it?
Go on then, yeah. Because, there are some Dead Man's Tome, associates doing the voiceovers.
That's right. Let's see if I pull that up real fast. But while I do that, do you mind kind of like saying what the video is and kind of like just briefly describing it real fast?
Oh yeah, sure. So it's called "Can I Quit My Day Job?" It's about me looking in my specific writer email where I keep all my rejections and finding a whole bunch of new rejections.
Yeah, man, that video was hilarious too. First off, I enjoyed that. What the cameo voices, like just about everyone in that video has been in Dead Man's Tome before at one point or the other. Just kind of sort of,
cool.
For the most part. That was cool.
Well, yeah, I think that these things were, I don't know if like a source of shame, these like personalized rejections. At least like when you first get them, you're like, oh my God, I did something wrong. I wasted someone's time, rather than, I think once you get them after a number of years, you're like, oh, all this stuff they were saying about it being highly subjective, they weren't just trying to make me feel good. This is really highly subjective. And they're not a source of shame, or like, what do they say? Shame dies in the light, right? I thought if I can put these rejections that I was once so ashamed of in a video and have a laugh at myself about it, maybe that would be fun for people. So
well, and a lot of early, young writers, young in the career, well, no matter what their age, they don't understand that it's not always about whether it's a good story or not. It's whether it's a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Like, for example, Monster Party, Deadman Stone Monster Party. Got to do a little plug right there. It received a lot of stories, more than any other submission call, but couldn't take a lot of them because it was like, I already have one Yeti story that I like. I can't take another one. I gotta make these monsters diverse. Diversity today with the monsters. So got my Yeti story. Got a Leo Rilla or whatever monster, And so it was cool. This story was great, but it's ghost. This isn't a ghost anthology. It's monsters. Get this out of here. That's not a monster. Yeah. That's a ghost. That's different. So anyway, I have the video up. I'll play it real fast if you don't mind. It's hilarious, dude. This shit is funny. All right. Let me know if the volume's bad. All right. Can I quit my day job yet? It's so I like it. I like the beginning.
Get your face out of the way.
Oh yeah.
Dear Leo, first of all, thank you for giving us a chance to read your story. Unfortunately, we're going to pass. We wanted a new layer on this overdone theme. Wishing you success with your future writing.
Dear Leo, first of all, thank you for giving us a chance to read your story. Unfortunately, we are moving ahead with other pieces. While well written, we just didn't feel that the episodic nature of this story would be rewarding to our readership. There is no beginning, middle, or end. We hope this hasn't discouraged you.
Dear Leo,
first of all, thank you for giving us a chance to read your story.
Unfortunately, your work has not made it to the shortlist. The ending was cheap.
Your prose is bland.
We didn't know why the protagonist was gay.
By page 5, I was done.
Sorry not to have better news.
I gotta
Best
come
wishes,
back to that one.
Bloody Samurai Magazine.
So there you have it.
That was good, man.
Shout out to Dustin for coming up with Bloody Samurai Magazine.
That's a good magazine, man. I'm gonna launch that magazine tomorrow.
We didn't know why your protagonist was gay.
It's like, God, I know I should do my research.
Is that
on my
for real?
Yeah, it's just like I have to find the cause of gayness before I can press send. I don't understand.
It wasn't clear in the backstory. Come on, what kind of writer are you?
He has the gay gene, or he had a gay experience in summer camp. I mean, what did they want?
His gym teacher was murdered. What is this?
Yeah.
God, that's just crazy.
The point, as I say, was like there's no story-based reason for being gay. Well, what's the story-based reason for being straight? Like 99% of all stories,
Right? There's no story
it's
reason.
Just the default.
And that's what people assume. What's crazy though is that there's a lot of people that are walking around that are gay or whatever, lesbian, whatever, but people just don't
And
know
there's
because
no reason for it at all.
yeah, like it just is what it is. And these same people, a lot of them don't put their sexual identity on their sleeve. Like you won't know unless you cross paths on them, unless they're interested in you and stuff like that, which is
Because I mean, how much does it really affect you? Honestly, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Not really. Yeah, it doesn't at all. In fact, that's one
Although
thing
I have to say, even as a straight man, I'm kind of disappointed no gay guys ever hit on me.
Oh,
but maybe
SK.
as a straight man, you're too dense to notice.
I don't know if you don't. I don't know if you want it. I don't know if you want it.
That's entirely possible.
I guess, man, you have that experience a few times. It's
you know
like,
what?
oh,
You're
man.
right.
Yeah, you think back.
One of
about
my
it.
buddies in high school hid his gayness by acting gay. You know what I mean? Like
It's an interesting tactic.
yeah, like over the top gay.
Ah,
So it looked like he was putting on
okay.
that he pretending to be gay, but he really was.
Like, what was it like? Hey
And-
guys, let's play around sucking dicks. Like, what do you mean he was? What
No.
was
It just silly stuff.
Oh, okay.
You know, all through school, and but he would fake hit on me,
You'd
quote
fake hit
unquote
on you.
fake.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That wasn't fake.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I don't know.
realize that now. It only took 40 years, but I get it.
Hey, I helped. I did something today.
You helped SK realize something. That's good.
Yeah.
See, cheaper than therapy. See,
But that's nice. You were like a practice person. I'm sure
Yeah.
that was really helpful. Yeah.
He was a good friend. We had a lot of fun in school.
yeah. But that's interesting,
That's
huh?
cool.
Like your best friend that comes out, which is like it is what it is. Like my first best friend in high school, like no one knew, no one had any idea, and we would have like this part sounds kind of weird. We'd have like sleepovers at his night. We would stay over at his at his house and play like GoldenEye and like Smash Brothers. Okay, that sounded like something else too. We'd just be playing games, SK and Leo. Okay, we had no idea. Now I don't think there was any signs because he wasn't the stereotype. He wasn't the like overly flamboyant. You would not know, but that's also okay. Like you don't have to put it on your sleeve like that. Because when he did come out, it was like, oh, it didn't. It was like it didn't even phase us. Of course, it was like, oh, we didn't know, but then it was like, why would we know? And what doesn't matter? It's all right, Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, one of our other, that I know of, classmates that was in the performing arts with us. He turned out to be gay. Apparently I don't know. It took him a long time to come to terms with that, and then he moved to California, cut off all contact with everybody in his old life, and doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. But okay.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess it's it can be tough for some people.
Yeah, some people
I don't know.
experience a hard time with it. I guess some people don't. It all depends. I mean,
I don't have stories of childhood friends coming out because I was the childhood friend who came out. So.
Yeah.
Do they look you up and go, hey, guess what? Or do you just hear about it?
Oh, yeah, I guess you hear. I mean, God, I don't stay in touch with any of those people really. Like,
Okay.
I was only 16. I don't really know. I didn't know who the hell I was. I was thinking about this recently. Like, I didn't know who I was. Like, so who were you hanging out with? It wasn't 30-year-old me. Who was that guy? Like what relevance does that have? But yeah,
that is a good question, and that is deep. Who were you
Well,
back then?
I mean, a lot of my friends were in theater and the performing arts, and
I mean, there's a stereotype there, but I mean, I don't want to assume.
hey,
but,
listen, man, listen. to all the heterosexual males out there, get into theater, get into dance.
And cheerleading.
That's where, huh?
And cheerleading.
No, not cheerleading.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Get into theater and get into dance because that's where the chicks are. And they're always dying for males to be involved. And there's backstage costume changes. And you get to spend a lot of time in very, very close proximity to chicks. So heterosexuals, get into theater, man. I'm just telling you.
Would that advice also work for gay
that's
dudes
not
too?
my point.
Would they get would they like dig theater? I don't know.
What's that?
Leo, did you take theater in high school?
I did like some drama classes, but only because like you didn't have to do that much work.
Yeah.
I just messed about for a few hours.
Right.
And then we wrote some terrible plays and then performed them. And I hope those videos are burned now.
Well, it was before the internet, right?
Before video came out.
Oh, thank God for before the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. But my point is that I'm still in touch with a number of those people from school. And it's a lot of it has to do with the time and the kind of time that you spend together. And you have an opportunity to build some really strong bonds in those kinds of environments that you don't build up in wood shop or metal shop or even art class or anything like that.
Interesting. I mean, I'm jealous of anyone who's like managed to hold on to a decent number of high school friends. It didn't work out that way for me. But holding on to long friendships can be a really meaningful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be, and I think there's reasons. It's kind of a chemical composition, I think, right? If you don't have all the ingredients, you're not going to get the epoxy bond.
Yeah, like maybe high school friends. I probably know two really that are still around. That's it. And they were like, actually, they weren't really high school friends. I grew up with them. They're like my friends, like, a block away. They were the kids, Italian twins, Mexican Italian twins, where I had to ride my bike to get to, and the dogs would harass me. And then I was like taking a longer route. My dad would be like, "Where are you taking the longer route?" Or no, I said something about it. He's like, "Why are you being such a pussy about it?" I was like, "Because the dogs." He's like, "Son, they're just dogs. Kick them in the face. No big deal." I was like, "Okay, just kick them in the face. That's it." And I did that. I didn't make contact. My foot didn't actually hit the dog's face, but it did scare the dog away. I was like, "Oh shit, this works. Fuck yeah, just do it." And that changed my life.
You still kicking puppies now?
No, I didn't mean that. Let's not take that out of context either. Yeah.
Thankfully, I'll never get famous because this would be the podcast that they bring up. Like, oh, it was on the podcast and they were talking about dogs.
In a way,
sometimes
I wait for that moment. Sometimes I'm like, there's two ways I can get this podcast could grow, could blow up. It could be for a good reason or a bad reason. And the bad reason's still pretty good to me too, because I can ride that wave, and I'll be the villain. I'll be the charismatic villain. I could do that.
Can you?
For a bit.
I haven't seen it yet.
But then people see how goofy I am. They wouldn't believe it. Like he said, what?
I don't condone anything this guy says. I'm just I've got to throw that out there.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes.
That's right. So what we're gonna do is we go around and get all the firstborn. No. So let's talk about, because it's on the the title here. We gotta talk about these art house horror films, Suspiria, and then House. But with Suspiria, there's two. There's the original, and then there's the remake, which I don't know if you would really call it a remake. But so I think first, do you want to explain what art house film is, Leo? Because I don't really know. Obviously, I'm drinking wine out of a mug.
Well, I had to Google the term in order to come up with a list to do this.
So we're good.
So I might be pretty lost as well. I think it's anything that strays significantly from, like, I don't know, satisfying the conventions of the horror genre, right? You know, it's not just very shallow backstory for the sake of giving tiny bit of characterization to somebody so that you care when they eventually get knifed and you're watching it just because you want to see them get knifed. You know, maybe there's a deeper point to it, and it's horrific things happen, but it couldn't be called conventional horror. That's my idea of it. Yeah.
I guess I can follow that a bit. I mean, okay, watching Suspiria and watching House, and when I say Suspiria, I mean the 1977 one. Watching those two films, and that's just two, as an example, I guess, of art house, if you want to call it that. It's like, all right, so you take a film style that is, so you take a project, and you're going to focus more on, let's say, visuals or this, that, and the other, because of maybe you're compensating for something, maybe a lack of story or something. But it's like I think we'll get into detail when I talk about House, especially for that one. But like with Suspiria, it's like there wasn't. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the original, there doesn't seem to be much of a plot other than she goes to the school, and what is this school exactly? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, you get the brutal knifings and stuff, and you don't really know much about the characters, but the visuals are great. Oh man, the visuals are stunning.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, that one is pretty. Well, Argento, the director, as I understand it, was doing very much like schlocky, conventional pulpy material up until that point. So that one does kind of have that standard formula of like, look at all the cool ways they're going to die, and they do all die in very cool ways. So
yeah, that's.
I
cool.
have some thoughts on the art house concept.
Sure.
As you might imagine.
I imagine.
Look, writing is hard. Writing a screenplay is the hardest of all writing. Writing a good screenplay is leagues beyond that. And my personal belief is that people write art house scripts because they can't write good theatrical scripts. So there. And I don't blame them for not being able to. Almost nobody can. It's hard as fuck to do. And so I think calling it art house, I think they make these movies because that's what they can do.
Interesting.
I thought they did it because they could get naked chicks. I mean, can you get more? Can you get fancier, like Italian, French boobs in a art house film?
I bet they're nude. They're not naked. It's not like.
Oh, that's right. Not naked. Yeah. They're nude. I'm so American over here. I'm sorry.
That's redundant.
Yeah.
As long as it's for like a non-sexual purpose, it can be there. As long as you're just looking at it like, interesting. Consider rather than
looking at it as beauty.
The standard reason.
Yeah. It's the work of art.
I definitely like. Look at these films that we're talking about. They last because they do something different. But I definitely don't, allow for something to be art house and have like a shallow plot. I definitely agree that whenever anyone strays from a standard plot, it's very rarely because they're so good at plot that they want to do something else. It's often because they just can't do a good plot.
Yeah, it's hard as hell. It really is. I've tried to do it, and I'm a pretty decent writer when it comes to slinging words together. Writing a screenplay is hard as fuck. And so, when I say that they do this because they can't write a good theatrical plot-driven script, that's not to say they're horrible people. It's one of the hardest things that a human mind can engage in. So it's no detriment that they can't do it, because almost nobody can. Hell, Hollywood's forgotten how to do it.
Well, yeah, they're just regurgitating everything.
You know, Hollywood used to have a mentorship program where you learned screenwriting by writing screenplays, being supervised by masters of the craft.
What happened to that? They need that. What
they
happened?
need to go back to that. They really do.
So, are there some modern examples of art house horror? I think like that might help.
Google's frantically.
I mean, just based on this criteria, just kind of bullshitting right now. With something like Get Out or Hereditary count? I mean, those are mainstream too, but Suspiria was mainstream, or is.
Oh, what about Alien?
Is
Alien's a modern horror?
Is it art house?
Oh no, it's not art house. Sorry,
but it's good.
Art house.
It's good. It's good though.
It's artistic. It's not art house.
No.
Oh, how about It Follows?
Okay. It Follows maybe, but It Follows is also kind of like it's like a slasher, but you don't see who it is. You know, I don't know, man. But then again, just because it's a slasher doesn't mean it's not art house. Suspiria is art house, and it's a fucking slasher, kind of, sort of, in a way. I mean, the first person dies because he gets slashed. Actually, they all. I mean,
What about Let the Right One In, the original Swedish?
There you go.
that one,
Good example.
the original, yeah,
Yeah.
would be the remake. I don't think so.
No, the original Swedish. Actually, I actually enjoyed it. I thought that was a very interesting story. One of the other things that typically, identifies an art house film is they're almost always boring as fuck for most of the movie.
Well, then,
But that doesn't mean it. Just because it's boring does not mean it's art house. By the way.
oh, okay, okay.
So when I see something identified as visually stunning, I think, oh, you mean boring as hell.
Yeah, there was that one, Mandy, that everyone was raving about. Did you see that one?
I did see that one. Well, I mean, that one I thought was great too. It's very visually stunning as well. They used that phrase, but it's also gory as fuck, and it's just a revenge flick. That's all it is. But it's cool. I mean, there's parts in the beginning that don't really make any sense, like the whole Jupiter planet thing, and like honestly, that's a movie, Mandy. You could just kind of numb out in the beginning and just see like kind of like the last few parts, and you're like, oh man, this is a good film. I like this. But that's my take of it. I mean,
And I bet people would say the Neon Demon as well, the Nicholas Winding Refn film. That probably counts.
Neon Demon. I don't think I've seen that.
Don't waste your time.
What about 28 Days Later?
I don't think
That's a
that's
good
art
one.
house. Is that art house?
I wouldn't say it's art house. No.
Well, it was low budget, so a lot of times they get,
Well, if low
they'll
budget's a criteria,
self-identify as art house so that they can at least get some exposure. It did pretty well, though.
it did.
Hmm.
I got a sequel. Did I watch it? I don't even remember if I watched the sequel.
Oh, the sequel's really good.
Oh,
28 Days Later. I really liked it. It was.
I remember being very interested in that one because they shot it on a GL1, which was a Canon's prosumer mini DV camera.
that's cool. Did not
Which
know.
was pretty revolutionary at the time.
Oh, okay. I remember it vividly because it was so violent that people started walking out of the cinema. And
Wait
I was
a
like,
second,
oh,
wait a
great. Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead. that has to be art house because it's campy as fuck. And you have boobs.
Well, art house and camp do not go together. Art house is
They don't?
snooty.
Oh man, I'm doing this
So
wrong.
you're
I
gonna
don't know.
like-
Is this no way, hon? House, which we'll get into later on, Hausu is pretty campy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how that counts as art house because it's pretty fucking campy. And really, honestly, that's more like a comedy than a horror film. But it's even described as a comedy. But it's interesting. There's things to it, I guess.
There are things.
Well, I mean, when we get into that film later on, the way, even the name of the characters, it's like from the get up, this is a comedy. Like, it's all about tropes and stereotypes, and they're all put, it's almost like a cabin in the woods, kind of, sort of, not really. Not even. It's just, the characters aren't even named. They don't even have names. They have titles.
Yeah, gorgeous kung fu fantasy.
You know what?
So
I
the
think we're just doing this now.
Let me tell you something. If I'll tell you a movie that if it did not have the lead actress in it would totally have been art house, and that's, come on, say it with me,
Carrie.
Bird Box.
Oh, Bird Box definitely would have been art house.
If it wasn't for Sandy Bullock, it would have been art house.
People just want to watch her blindfold. That's all that was. I mean, that was hot. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
People just want to watch her do anything.
well,
I guess like a
practical
good-
magic, man. That, ooh, man, her Nicole Kidman. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh man, if you named a time, if I could.
I think
Crazy redheaded Australian woman? Are you kidding me?
I'll ride.
I would really
I'll bite
love
that
to
bullet.
see.
I'll bite that bullet.
I would really love to see the Jesse Deadman review of that on the box on the DVD. Practical magic. Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Really.
Oh man. Okay. Before we get carried
The
away
modern Billy.
on the house
Modern,
shoe. Okay, so Leo, do you want to talk about Suspiria real fast?
Okay, sure. What is it? It's this woman shows up to this dance academy and slowly discovers that it's run by a coven of witches, more or less, and uncovers the way to find, if I'm not mistaken, like the head witch.
Yeah.
And there's a big confrontation. It's not the kind of film that you can spoiler by just saying the plot, I should say, because it's quite the experience to watch it.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, SK, have you ever seen the original?
I have not seen the original. I only saw the modern version.
That's okay. I'll pretty much describe it like this. Maybe Lee would help me out here. It is pretty much like a fever dream. It is a dream. The only parts that actually seem practical and real are the beginning, where she's leaving the airport, she's outside, it's raining, she gets a taxi. But as soon as she enters the school, the way it looks on the outside, especially the way it looks on the inside, it's like, what is this? Like, who designs stuff like this? The building is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Very vivid colors, which, by the way, is like one of the last movies to use Technicolor, which is why it looked all the way it did.
Oh.
Very neon, very bright, very vivid. But it stands out like surreal, like, what the fuck?
The modern one is not like that on the interiors.
No,
of the studio at all. It looks very typical of a studio.
Yeah. The modern one is very mute and it doesn't have the vividness. In fact, it's actually more grounded and more practical and real. But the modern one, it differs so much. I don't even know if I would call that a remake. It's more like it could have been any other film with any other name. I would think.
Yeah.
Or a different take on the story, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, you do have the same character names, but it's even
Same concept though, right?
Okay, so in the original, it's a dance studio or dance school, but they don't spend any time with the dancing. It's like not even a part of it. It's not even a thing. Okay. There's a funny scene though, where there's a blind man on the piano. I know. right?
Mhm.
But there's a funny scene where he gets fired, and that shit was hilarious.
They fired the blind piano player.
Oh, because his dog bit some fucking kid, and apparently, like, they fired their piano guy because of that. It's like, come on, man, come on. But the banter, the back and forth between him and the chick that fired him, and the fact that he can't find his way out of the room, it was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man,
it's
you're just a cruel person, Jesse.
I am an ableist. Twitter's right. Ableist all the way to the core. I'm just making fun. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert: the dog kills him too. The dog that bit the kid kills the blind man. Oh no!
Was that hilarious too? Come on.
It was kind of
Twisted
funny.
fuck.
It was kind of funny.
You're hopeless. You're
Yeah.
just fucking hopeless.
It was funny because it was lazy. Because okay, well,
What
I'm
was
kind of
lazy?
okay. Well, the way they use
The
the dog.
storytelling or the character?
Okay, so Leo, help me out here. Like in the beginning of the film, like,
Leo, don't help him.
You don't really know what the hell's going on, what's killing these people, what's going on. It's like it starts off. There's this chick that's all frantic. She's running away. She's like, oh my god, and she sees like this thing outside the window. It was like a flash of eyes. They look like cat eyes. Horrible special effect, even for that time. This movie came out in 1977. The Exorcist came out before this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one, came out before this. There's a few. I can think of a few other titles that came out that could have done better. So it could have done better, I'm thinking. But I guess different place, like Italian filmmaking. I don't know. But she ends up getting stabbed by someone. You don't see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
you just see the knife.
Yeah, you just see the knife, and the way she's killed, it's crazy because she's stabbed, her heart is stabbed, and then she's like thrown, or she falls through the ceiling window, and she's like hung right there, and everyone can see her. She's like bleeding.
Yeah.
Very cool scene. And in fact, I'll throw it up on the screen here.
Oh, is that the one? Is that early on in the film?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the character who dies so that the new girl can show up.
Yeah. Which, by the way, guys, this is all
Which
spoilers.
they don't show.
This
They
is an
don't
old
show
film.
that at all in the new film.
No, the new film is totally different. In fact, they just talk about that in the new film. They like
Right.
They mention there was a disappearance, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's always the occasional side eye around talking about her.
Yeah. Which, Leo,
Mm-hmm.
do you the original? What time period did it take place in? Because I don't know if it's 1977. I have no idea.
I think it was supposed to be.
It was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like modern day for the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
1977 wasn't even modern for its own day.
It was
Having
1977.
lived through it, I can tell you.
1977 Germany, but the original, it didn't even talk about anything related to that. Like, watching it, I had no idea. I was like, this could have. I mean, it just seems like
It was in Germany?
it was in Germany.
I thought the modern one was in France. For some reason, I got that impression.
No, they're don't they talk about the
wall,
Yeah,
the Berlin
exactly.
Wall. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
that plays a huge part.
So
Well, anybody can talk about Berlin Wall.
Oh, but you
no,
see it. You see it outside the window of the studio.
in the modern version?
Yeah, it's there. When they walk outside,
remember.
you see it. I know. I kind of skim parts of it too.
No, I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
which I'm
Yeah, I
going.
remember seeing a wall. I didn't know it was the wall.
No, it's the wall.
The wall.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the new one?
Well, man, first, okay. I guess to talk about the new one, Like what in comparison to the original? Because it's like it doesn't seem
just
like
talk about it on its own.
on its own.
Mm.
Try that on its own merits. Since you say it's so different, then
It is pretty different.
Then let's just take it on its own.
Okay. On its own, I think if you just saw this and didn't know what Suspiria was, you would like it. I think it's slow in the beginning, though.
Yeah.
In the see, I'm doing again, comparing to the first one. The first one, it starts off. There's a murder in the beginning. You know, that's kind of good. That's a high note. Well, not a high note, but you know, it's an intense moment.
Right.
It escalates.
So one of the key things about, you know, if you're telling a story, any story, is you want to let your viewers, your readers, your customers, whatever you want to call them, you want to let them know why you're telling this story and why you're telling it now. And you know, and so without showing that death, why now?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, eventually they get around to filling you in on that in the modern story, but you got to piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of like making relevant choices, I didn't understand what Berlin had to do with it at all. And you didn't
It
even
doesn't have anything to do with it. It could have been in Italy just as well.
And they were like, oh, you know, the wall and blah, blah, blah. This, I think one of the characters starts talking about it at the beginning as if you're like, oh, this has interesting political allegories. But it didn't.
Yeah.
It
Had no bearing on the story at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a character in the story like a lot of Berlin stories. You know, the wall is very much a character in the story, and that's perfectly fine and relevant to do. You know.
Yeah, and this not so much. The wall's like a.
This
like
was
a prop,
like
not even.
They hardly, you know, you see it, but they barely even mention that it's the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally missed that point, and I wasn't, you know, I was pretty much paying attention.
I guarantee SK was paying more attention than I was, because when I started watching the original, and it started off like completely different, I was like, "Wait, what? This isn't Suspiria. What the fuck is this?" and I was like, "Okay, wait a second." But setting that aside, if I didn't know what the original was and just watched this, it's okay. If you get past the slow part in the beginning, I mean, well, you do kind of get the frantic girl in the beginning, right? You get that she's all like freaking out over something, but why is she freaking out? What's going on with her? Okay,
Right.
and then when they start dancing, see, okay, the remake has a more stronger emphasis on the dancing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's their witchcraft or dance witches, I guess. If that makes sense. The body harm, the body horror that happens, the contorting and all that, the bone breaking and shit that happens through this weird.
Oh, so that's kind of a voodoo dance kind of a scene where that was pretty cool. She didn't know she was causing that to happen. Other people were, you know, triggered that to happen. And that was pretty interesting for sure. One screenwriting mentor that I had said, it's okay to mislead your audience, but it's not okay to confuse them.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be one of the things that art house films love to do. They love to confuse you.
Yeah.
And they mistake that for, you know, being a skillful writer. It's not hard to, it's really easy to confuse your audience. It's hard to skillfully mislead them into thinking something else is going on.
Yeah. I think that like in good art house films, there's symbolism that like isn't explained, but it still is powerful for that reason. And then in bad art house films, they claim they're doing that symbolism thing when actually there's no depth there.
Oh, you're so right. The the stupid, meaningless cutaways for a second to some still shot of some book or fuck all, whoever, whatever it is like, just leave that out. You're not helping.
Absolutely.
You're just being fucking pretentious.
I'm trying to watch a film. I'm taking an exam,
Right? Oh, you got to study the meaning of this frame.
I think it was Leo Meyer of Metro Goldwyn Mayer fame who said symbols belong in the orchestra.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But I think that what seems to, categorize an art house film, if you're going to include things like Get Out or It Follows, is this idea that there is a central symbol or metaphor that could be interpreted many different ways. And that's what makes it kind of classic. That's what will make people revisit those films in the future, is because you can't explain what they are. You can't explain what they're definitely supposed to be. I mean, I suppose in Get Out it's a bit clearer, but in It Follows it's just unclear enough for you to add your own interpretation, and that's what I really liked about that one.
So in Suspiria, the new one, as far as that goes, like I guess an element that could be interpreted in one way or the other, some weird imagery and shit. It's like the one thing that comes to mind is especially, well, honestly, the best part's the ending. The best part's the last act, and that's where you
the dance battle.
The dance. That was crazy. That's where you see it. But it doesn't, like I said, if I watched that, didn't know what Suspiria was, just that part, I'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? This is a crazy ass movie. This is some wild shit. You got this old, wrinkly old hag just like with weird fetuses growing out of her chest and shit, that ugly thing.
It's Hillary.
I believe it, man. I believe it. And then you have all these chicks just like dancing naked, and these chicks get hearts taken out of them, and what the fuck? Oh my!
It's a total. It's like some, which version of a dance off, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Only all the girls who are in part of the troupe, who are just, as you say, dancing around naked and dying. They don't really they don't take sides.
No.
Right? They're just there as props, and it goes on fucking forever. It was very interesting for, like the first 5 minutes.
And
it just kept going on and
I think
on.
the symbolism they're going for was childbirth or something. Especially when she opens up her chest, looks like a gaping vagina. But it's like, okay, this is great. I see what you're doing here. Apparently, the original had that same allegory, which I did not get at all because it was never mentioned at all. Like, just a quick comparison. The original didn't have any of that dance. Didn't have anything related to anything of any of that shit. It was pretty tame, actually. I think the one thing the new one did that the original did not do was go pretty heavy on the grotesque, which that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated that. I love film violence. I think it's great fun.
And Argento was supposed to be the man doing that, right? He was supposed to be the violence guy.
Yeah,
but
it really was.
Well, who's the director of this one? Luca. I wrote it down here. I don't know. I can't say the last name.
No, it's the same guy who directed Call Me by Your Name, which is another film that's so dull that I quit it. I watched Suspiria in the cinema, so I stayed for the full thing. But if it was on the TV, I would have just turned it off. I thought it was really boring.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have at the end of the dance battle, and the whole room's covered in blood, and then have one of those girls from the group walk out and go, "I'm not cleaning this shit up."
That would have been fine. That would have been fine. That would have been good.
You should have been there for the script revisions. You've got this Italian auteur who's like, oh, it's so rich and meaningful with symbolism. I've worked so hard to get the rights to make this film for so long, and then you're just in there like, I don't think there were enough tits.
Not enough tits, not enough jokes.
Well, there were lots of tits, but they only showed them from far away. It was such a waste.
Right?
That's art.
And I've seen better asses. I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were doing there. Let's see.
There were some very attractive young ladies in the dance troupe, but you only saw them in very brief glimpses.
They focused on the
waste.
old lady a lot, though. In that when she was sitting in the chair.
Well, I mean in the whole movie, you barely saw them.
Yeah.
I think you should set up a Letterboxd account, because I've been really enjoying these film reviews. Just practical magic.
Like Red. What's it? Red Letter Media. Is that those guys? They do film reviews.
Oh God, those guys! That's some of the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Dude, that shit is hilarious. Mr. Plinkin, is that the guy? Dude, that shit is hilarious.
Yeah.
We don't do too many film I can't even say it. Film reviews on this show or on this channel. I mean,
Jesus, how much time have you had?
Just almost done with this bottle. But I mean, if some of you guys like, we could do more. I guess we just have to watch more movies. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
There's the thing is, it's easy to do movie reviews nowadays because there's such shit.
Yeah.
I mean, try and find something worth praising. It's just difficult.
And that's the other thing. I don't know if people are going to like our reviews. I don't know if people are going to like my take or SK's take, and we're kind of bitter. Well,
but going back to Plinkett, his 4-part takedown of Star Wars was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good.
It was hilarious, but it was also deeply insightful and very well thought out arguments. And it's just unmatched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely top tier when it comes to like YouTube movie reviews shit. That's good stuff. I think Patty begs to differ. Maybe I'm not the bitter one. I think maybe that's it. I think that might be USK, but I think you might know.
You're not bitter.
He just real.
Because I never got to be a fucking feature film director doesn't make me bitter. God damn it!
Not bitter at all. There's nothing bitter about
No.
that. No, you're still sweet. I don't know what else to say about Suspiria. I think Leo said it best. He's bored of it. I mean,
it really was pretty fucking tedious.
Yeah.
And what was the point of it?
Yeah.
Again, going back to what that one mentor said, why tell this story in the first place? And why now? Why tell that story at that time?
The thing is, like, people will tell you that there were clues there that like will give you the real meaning, and it's always when I say something like, oh god, I just didn't understand the point of that film, what I'm implying is I also don't care to discover it if there was one. Like if I have to go and watch it again and look at the clues, like it didn't interest me enough to want to go back and do that. It's
right?
fine if
it's a film. It's not a fucking Where's Waldo book. You're not trying to find anything. It should be right there. Jesus Christ. And like compared to a Where's Waldo book.
Like, it's fine if like a film is dense enough that you have to go back to get additional meaning from it, but you should enjoy it the first time through.
It has to be worth going back through.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if there is a meaning, I'll happily never discover it. And yeah, I like growing up in Glasgow in Scotland, like everything looked like it was from the 1970s because nobody renovated buildings and stuff enough. So like 70s is something to avoid, I think. I wouldn't deliberately recreate the 70s.
I lived through it. I was a teenager in the 70s, so as much as I had a lot of fun with the 70s, it has no meaning, in no way implies that I would want to relive them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really, grey, dull. a real shame, especially like since the first one was so colorful. They're like, okay, well, we'll distance ourselves from that by making this one look really ugly. Oh, it's a shame.
Now, we definitely have to get into House real fast. We're going to go a little bit overtime tonight because we got to talk about House. And I know, SK, you haven't seen it, but feel free to make all sorts of jokes when you hear about this shit. Leo,
it's incredible.
Do you mind doing the honors and describing or explaining this Hausu 1977 movie?
Can such a thing be done? Yeah, sure. So it's so basically, this one girl, like her dad is like has a new girlfriend, and she's really mad because her mum died like 8 years ago, so she can't be like, hey, which is kind of cruel. It's kind of mean, Dad's never to find love again. Anyway, she writes to her aunt because she wants to go visit her aunt, I think, for the summer.
Right.
And like a whole group of girls go along, and then at that point, it completely stops making sense. That's about all you get. The rest. Bonkers.
What's interesting is, so you have that, right? You have a girl who has some daddy issues or something, doesn't like that her dad is going to have a new wife. Okay, so she messaged her aunt, who she hasn't seen in years, and apparently the letter comes back, and she gets an instant response. It looks like it was like an almost instant response, right? And by the way, to call this an art house film makes me think, people who are into artsy films must be pretty damn dumb. And I mean that, and it sounds kind of mean. But the movie, if this is an art house film, and if this is what they look for, the movie directs you to certain things. It's like, like the way it swipes to change the scenes, whatever, it will do like this thing where the camera will focus. Not the camera, it's the editing. It will focus in on the character or something as a clue, heavy-handed clue as, oh, that's something to look out for. That's going to be important.
Right.
Right. What is this? I mean, are you just trying to give it away? Because in the beginning of the film, you already knew what the problem was. You already knew that the cat was an issue. You already knew that the cat's involved somehow. Okay. And then, I'm talking shit about the movie, but I do have fun with it. I mean, I did have fun. The tonal shifts, because the movie goes crazy, man. It goes crazy on, let's see, when they go from, I guess, what town were they in the beginning? I don't know, but they go from there to where the aunt's house is at. It gets like this weird animation thing, which seems like a lazy way to do like a train ride, because they couldn't like maybe afford the budget for an actual train. It's art house.
I loved it. It was great. I loved it. It was like best film ever. 5 stars for me. Because like every minute there's some new weird technique being used or some strange thing for you to look at. I mean, I loved that sequence in the train, but also like they show you this like old black and white footage of I think her family. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they do that.
And then the girls all pretend that they're watching it too, and they're like, "Oh, look, now he's getting married and everything." I thought it was brilliant. Like you don't see that attention to backstory in typical horror. So I would say they did that part.
It does have attention to backstory. I'll definitely give you that. Like I'll say this too. I enjoyed this a lot better than Suspiria. I'd rather watch this film over Suspiria any day because it's an enjoyable film. It's wild. It's out there. I don't know if I would buy this on Blu-ray if it came with like some extra content that I would be able to understand, translate in English or something, a commentary track in English. But good luck on that. That's not going to happen.
Well, I'm glad you picked this one because I did a bit of reading about it, and the director, like, he'd asked his young daughter what kind of things scare her.
Yeah.
And those in the film, like, she thought her hands were going to get eaten by the piano and stuff, so he has this sequence where girl gets eaten by a piano, which is absolutely wild.
Yes, that scene.
It's so cool. Yeah.
That scene is crazy, man. There's so much we kind of skipped over, too. By the way, this film was produced by Toho, the same people who brought you Godzilla. This is not a Godzilla film. But this was supposed to be their answer to... They talked to Obayashi with a suggestion to make a film like Jaws, Tentacles, and Orca. And they got this, which has nothing to do with Jaws, Tentacles, or Orca. It has to do with, it's pretty much a haunted house. A haunted house. That's it.
So no monster at all.
No Godzilla, no Jaws, no tentacles, no orca. You do have a piano that devours a girl, a Japanese girl.
Yeah, they're evil mattresses as well at one point.
Yes, there's evil
Well, who
mattresses.
hasn't experienced that?
Yes. Oh my God, that could have been a hentai scene or something. There's mattresses that come down and start hitting this girl and plummeting her. The pillows are hitting her too.
That's such a good point. That's probably something that people enjoy sexually.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Having mattresses fall on them.
Let me just remind people. It's definitely you guys. This is a comedy, right from the get up. When you have a movie like this, and the characters they're not named names. They're named roles. Like you have Gorgeous, who's the main character. Guess what her thing is? She's pretty. She's vain. She likes to put on makeup.
She's not a professor?
No, but you do have the professor.
There's
You
one
have
called
someone
the
named Professor. And she's not very smart, though. She dies. You have Melody, who plays the piano. You have Kung Fu, who's the strong one and kick ass.
He was my favorite.
She was my favorite, too, because she was in her panties half the time.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and she kicked ass. I was like, all right, this is best of both worlds, you know? And she was actually best equipped. Athletic, skilled, kung fu. And then you have Mac. She was supposed to be the fat one, but she wasn't very fat. Yeah, she was slightly thicker. She was still good, you know? Yeah, they called her Mac. She's the first to die, actually.
Was her dog named Cheese?
I wish. In fact, there is a scene where Mac's head is decapitated and her head comes out of a well and bites the ass of, I think that's supposed to be, is that Melody? Or no, that wasn't Melody. Who was that? Fantasy. Her name is Fantasy, as a constant daydreamer. They're just coming up with bullshit names.
Wow.
Like this was a comedy from the beginning, man. This could have been. This is super campy. This is like Evil Dead levels of camp right here. Beyond
Not
that.
even ironic names.
No, they were as you thought. And the when they get to the aunt's house, let's say aunt. When they get to her house, it's clear that she's fucked up, that she's behind this, that she's a ghost or something. And if you missed that right from the very first interaction, don't worry, they'll give it to you, because she'll look at the camera and do like a coy little wink. Like, what's that for? What the fuck is this? You're giving it away, you know? But it's a comedy. I don't know if it's like what they're doing. I don't know if it's like a scary movie thing where they're making fun of that sort of like horror story or what. You know, I kind of missed that, I guess, in the nuance of the translations, but they were having fun with it. And the best parts of this movie, I think, are the, I guess, the scenes in the house, like, I guess the death scenes. You know, you have the piano that devours the girl. You have Mac biting the ass of Fantasy over here. You have the mattresses plummeting this girl named what was that chick's name? I think that was Melody before she was devoured. No, wait. That couldn't have been Melody.
It was a piano.
It was because I don't remember who was plummeted by the mattresses. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Oh. But yeah, I know death sequences were the best. But no, it's so silly from the very beginning. It's an incredibly silly film, but it's so much fun. You know,
it is fun, and they have okay. So they set it up in the beginning where there's going to be this guy. I forgot his name. He was supposed to go help them out. He was supposed to meet them at the house, and I think the daydreaming chick was looking forward to him coming to the house. He was going to be like the hero who saves the day. But throughout the whole movie, he has no interest of actually saving them. He's actually doing everything he can, kind of sort of like stuck in traffic, eating ramen. He's actually enjoying his time. They show scenes where the guy who's supposed to be the knight in shining armor, like drinking and eating and stuff, and not giving a shit. So it's like, okay,
great.
this is, I like this. they're having fun with this.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm glad you picked it. It was great to watch again.
Anything
Highly recommend.
anything I missed? I mean, there's so much more. I mean,
No, I think you hit all the points. The evil cat was just great as well.
the evil cat.
Love that evil cat. And then the cat possesses the ant, but then the girl at the end is possessed by the evil cat. She's got the evil green eyes. It's like makes vague sense, I suppose.
Cats are just evil anyway. It's kind of a
Oh yeah,
given.
cats are the devil. They are the
That's
devil.
the thing.
Cat owners, I'm sorry. I'm telling you, you have a little Satan in your house. Okay, you
Yep.
might not believe me. That's okay, but I know you.
You will eventually.
You definitely will when you have to change the litter box. It's a fucking devil.
So you guys aren't sold on art house films?
Not really, but I do like Hausu. But it was fun. It's funny. I like that. That was cool. But I don't know if that's really an art house film. I don't know if that really classifies, does it? Or
I don't know.
qualifies?
It's published by Criterion, and that's typically pretty art housey.
Yeah, they do
I'll give it. Sure.
that stuff.
That's.
Yeah, I don't want to go see a movie that I have to work so hard at.
Oh, you don't have to work hard at all from this film.
I don't want to go to a movie and have it like, oh shit, what are they going to ask about this after the movie at the coffee place, or am I going to have some salient thoughts about the deeper meaning of that fucking vase or whatever?
Right.
I don't want to take notes.
That's
Film
great.
is supposed to be an escape, and test taking is not an escape for me personally. Maybe it is for some people. I don't find it. I mean, I like a movie that'll make me think, but not make me think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Not make you think about like the mundane or simple things that you might have missed.
Yes.
Like make you think about the story, not like was the director trying to fuck with me here for his own jollies? Like what the fuck is going on here?
Was he? Yeah. I don't want to have to decide if he was, on mushrooms at the time that he made this movie.
Oh, they definitely were on Hausu. Hausu was definitely drugs. Oh, by the way, the last thing about the knight in shining armor, when he does arrive to the house, guess what he does?
Peas.
Pretty much, he doesn't do shit. Like the first thing he sees scares him, and he goes into the car and he like freaks out. And then when the ant finally arrives, like where the guy was, it's just a pile of bananas. And I'm confused about something, Leo. Maybe you can help me.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't the same guy. That wasn't her dad, right? Because that was someone else. Was it?
Bananas.
No.
Oh, I thought-
Like the guy going to see them at the house. Was that her dad?
Oh, I don't remember. I didn't pick up on that. But no, I love the bananas.
Because if that was, that's interesting. You know what? I don't think it was because I see two casts as the father Sheho, and I think Togo. Well, I think Togo was the guy's name, the knight in shining armor guy. I think it was a different dude. He was just hanging out at the school at the inn, a bunch of schoolgirls, huh? Saying, "Yeah, I'll be there. I'll go to that house. I'll see y'all over there." all right. I'll see y'all girls over there. Yeah, I go on over there and get all lost and shit. I don't even care. It's great. Okay, well, since we're coming towards the end here, Leo, what's the latest horror movie you've seen other than this stuff?
Oh, the latest one I saw. Oh my god, I come so prepared. Well, I'm a big fan of these. Like, I don't know if it counts. I saw this film called The Night Porter. I don't know if you know it.
Do not.
Ooh,
It
does sound
oh my God.
familiar.
I don't recommend it at all. See, I'd gone to this. I go to this photography club for my filmmaking stuff, and we were talking about this actress Charlotte Rampling, and it was her first film, I think, that she was super famous in, where she's like, she was in a concentration camp, and then she goes to this hotel and she sees the like Nazi camp guard who, like, I don't know, looked after her when she was in the camp, and then they start a relationship again. It's insane. I'm not recommending it at all, but it was horrific. So that's what counts. Yeah.
Like, it's horrific bad, like story-wise and the way they tell it, or...
No, like, what it makes you think about people. It's just, it leaves you with this really horrible feeling. But I'm glad when anything resonates, you know. It's done a good job if it can get to you.
I mean, that stuff gets
Yeah,
pretty
I
heavy.
don't like people
especially
anyway,
when you have
it's easy.
if you have a story that's going to include, like, you know, concentration camps, that sort of time period, those sort of events, it's going to be pretty heavy, right?
Yeah, it's pretty brave thing to have done. It's an absolute.
All right.
And people were like, it's so funny because like when I was watching it, I was like, is this complete nonsense or is this genius? I can't tell.
Well,
It can be a fine line, right?
Yeah. And critics, I think, came to the same conclusions at the time.
so was it art house then?
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, because there's boobs, but they go to waist.
So this one, by the way, is
Singing and literary references.
boobs that go to waist. What do you mean boobs that go to waist? They die?
I think you're
Not
asking the
put
wrong
to
guy.
proper use.
Well, I mean, is there? Yeah, I don't know. There's nudity, but it's not done, you know, salaciously. Yeah.
Well, shit. Oh, you
Okay.
mean like Schindler's List had nudity in it?
Oh, that's not good nudity. Yeah.
Right, that's my point.
That's historical nudity. You can't do anything with that. I mean, not like you wanted to, but it's just that's just factually accurate. You're just like, okay, that's what that is.
National Geographic boobs.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Man, Leo, this has been great. Like, you're good to have on the show. You're very fun.
Absolutely.
I always feel bad scheduling you because it's like the time difference. You're willing to do it so early though, but man.
Oh yeah, the sacrifices I make for art, I tell you. But it's been it's been great fun. Thanks for having me on. I always appreciate it, and yeah, keep up the great work.
And I
Can you
enjoyed
get
this.
good scotch in Norway?
You better.
You what? Sorry.
Can you get good scotch in Norway?
Not at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, which it is now.
No, I just mean in general.
Oh yeah, sure, but you have to go to like a specific shop where they sell alcohol over like 10% spirits.
Oh,
10%
really?
alcohol. It's all locked away in a specific shop, and it's all incredibly expensive, but it does
Oh.
exist.
Spoil sports.
Man, not in America. You just go down the road.
Hell, you can have it delivered nowadays.
Shit, dude. Oh fuck.
Well, I think you guys need it, you know.
Yeah, we do. See the way I work these guys do? Oh, God, SK and Tammy, they're just like sweating over here, you know? Anyway, man, this has been great. Leo, this subject matter even classed up the show.
So
Think
much
about it.
fun.
You classed up Dead Man's Tone podcast. Thank you.
It's possible.
It is
There was a
now.
mug with wine in it this time instead of whiskey.
I had a bottle of wine for the first time. What is this? I can't even
This is
pronounce
going
it.
to start drinking with his pinky up.
SK, what is this? Riesling? Is that how I pronounce it? Riesling?
Yeah, I
Oh,
like
okay.
Riesling.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. I don't like red wine, but this was good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, press the like button, share, and subscribe. And please share. Sharing is how you grow this thing. Share it to anybody. Friend, family, enemy, neighbor.
Somebody you hate.
Yeah. Tell them some drunk learn about some art house films. Okay? Clip me out of context just for sensational clicks. I'll take that. I don't mind. Y'all take it easy.